The Dow Jones Industrial Average pushed further into record territory Tuesday, a day after it and the S&P 500 kicked off the new year by closing at all-time highs, while a continued rise in long-term yields dragged down tech shares. What are major indexes doing? The Dow Jones Industrial Average DJIA rose 214.43 points, or 0.6%, to 36,799.49. The S&P 500 SPX fell 9.92 points, or 0.2%, to 4,786.64. The Nasdaq Composite Comp sank 279.35 points, or 1.8%, to 15,553.45. On Monday, the Dow and the S&P 500 closed at records, while the Nasdaq Composite surged 1.2% to finish just over 1% away from record territory. What's driving market? Stocks kicked off the session with gains, but turned mixed as consumer discretionary XX, S&P 500 and tech sector XX, S&P 500 stocks came under pressure as Treasury yields continued to rise. Growth-oriented sectors are seen as more sensitive to rising rates. Investors are focused on the Federal Reserve and the prospect for rate increases that are expected to begin as early as March. The prospect of rising rates, however, is the largest positive driver for the S&P 500, said Stewart, head of Americas at Quant Insight. Rather than a negative, multi-asset signals investors see the chance of rate increases as the appropriate thing to do and perhaps even the right timing, Stewart said, in a phone interview. Investors appear confident COVID-19 will fade away over the next 6 to 9 months, while rate rises will help to squelch inflation pressure. A build-up in defensive positioning by investors heading into the Fed's December meeting, when policymakers agreed to speed up the process of winding down its monthly asset purchases, may have left defensive sectors like utilities XX, S&P 500, consumer staples XX, S&P 500 and healthcare XX, S&P 500 rich relative to their cyclical peers, Stewart said. The energy sector XX, S&P 500 led the way higher Tuesday, up more than 3%, as Brent crude BRN00, the global benchmark, traded above $80 a barrel after the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and its allies, OPEC+, stuck to a plan to incrementally raise output by 400,000 barrels a day next month. Investors continue to wave off concerns over the Omicron variant of the coronavirus that causes COVID-19. Infections have surged, with the U.S. registering 1,083,948 cases on Monday, according to data collected by Johns Hopkins University, more than double the previous record of 486,428 set 4 days ago. Hospitalizations for confirmed or suspected COVID-19 cases hit a 7-day average of 97,855 on Monday, according to data from the U.S. Department of Health Human Services cited by the Wall Street Journal. That is up 41% over the past 2 weeks, but below the pandemic peak of 137,510 seen on January 10, 2021, and a smaller peak of 102,967 seen on September 4, 2021, amid the surge in the Delta variant of the coronavirus. In economic data, the Institute for Supply Management said its December manufacturing index dropped to an 11-month low of 58.7% compared with 61.1% in November. Economists surveyed by the Wall Street Journal had expected a reading of 60%. A figure above 50% indicates an expansion in activity. Americans quitting their jobs rose by 370,000 to a record 4.5 million in November. The quits rate rose to 3% from 2.8% in October, which also matched a prior record high. At the same time, job openings fell by 529,000 to 10.6 million on the last day of November, the Labor Department said Tuesday. Minneapolis Fed President Neil Kashkari was scheduled to discuss the economic outlook at 11:30 a.m. Which companies are in focus? Shares of Ford Motor Company F jumped 9%, hitting a 21-year high, after the automaker said it plans to nearly double production of its all-electric F-150 Lightning pickups at its Dearborn, Michigan, facility to 150,000 trucks a year to meet soaring customer demand. General Motors Company GM said the semiconductor supply issues that have plagued the auto industry improved during the fourth quarter. The company said it delivered 440,745 vehicles in the fourth quarter, down 43% from a year ago, when quarterly retail sales were the best in 13 years. Dealer inventory, including in-transit vehicles on their way to dealers, totaled 199,662 at the end of the fourth quarter, up 55% from a record low of 128,757 at the end of the third quarter. Shares rose more than 5%. Apple Inc. AAPL shares fell 1.1%, after briefly crossing the threshold required for the company to achieve a $3 trillion market value Monday before ending the day below the mark. What are other assets doing? The yield on the 10-year Treasury note BX, TMUB-10Y rose 3.9 basis points to 1.669%. Yields and debt prices move opposite each other. The ICE U.S. dollar index DXY was down 0.1%. Gold futures GC00 edged up 0.8%. Bitcoin BTCUSD rose 0.6%. The Stoxx Europe 600XX SXXP index closed 0.8% higher, while London's FTSE 100 UKX surged 1.6%. The Shanghai Composite CN SHCOMP fell 0.2%, while the Hang Seng Index HSI edged up 0.1% in Hong Kong, and Japan's Nikkei 225 JP Nikkei rose 1.8%.